the sheriff's department and the police department, they have this program called Explorers. Where it's kind of like
me with my sexuality in high school.
Y'all were both explorers.
Baby, me and you.
oh, yeah,
Me and you.
just different guns. But we were both shooting.
Oh, yeah, brother.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. Today,
You know what's crazy? You always whenever you open the podcast, you always do that.
What?
The hello, welcome to the podcast.
Wow, she's unoriginal.
It's my thing.
I love it. I was just.
motto.
This is my favorite thing about you. Actually, you're like the same bitch over and over again.
That is true. That's in my stars. Anyways,
She's predictable.
Welcome to the fucking podcast. My name is Mandy.
I'm Barbie.
And I'm Miguel.
And today we have a special guest. It has been long awaited. It has been long discussed. It has been bleeped out of multiple podcasts because somebody could just not keep his name out of her fucking mouth.
Ooh.
So I'm going to hand it over to our good guest, Barbie, to introduce.
Oh, I'm
this
not a
guest.
guest.
I mean,
Good host.
I'm the host, Barbie, to introduce
the amount
our
of times
guest.
you've missed this podcast, you might as
True.
well be a
Honestly,
guest.
at this point, you are a guest.
I think you're the only one who's ever missed like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, one of them wasn't even my fault. Like
What was that
I
one?
told you, I literally told you guys, let's not shoot this day.
Hey,
You guys were like,
guys,
oh, we're busy. Wait your turn. Mouth closed.
I should have
Keep your move closed. Anyways, sorry, as we were gonna introduce, this person is very special and important, and like, he's like my boyfriend. And I love him and he's sexy.
This is hard to listen to. This is hard to listen to.
So now we introduce AK. Welcome to the pod.
Applause.
Why don't you ever let Richie add the sound effect?
Less work. By the way, Richie's doing this all volunteer. So the more work we
Honestly.
give him,
True.
What's up, guys? I'm AK.
Hey.
And apparently Barbie talks about me all the time here, so...
you don't listen to the podcast.
Ooh.
You mean you don't listen
immediately.
You don't listen weekly?
Damn.
I listen to it on 1.5 speed.
Honestly, valid.
Me
So,
too.
like,
I
runs through
actually
my
listen to
mind.
this
We do be
podcast
Speedy Gonzalez.
on 2 times
really.
speed sometimes.
Bruh.
And that's okay if that's what you need to do to get through it.
To get the context.
as long as we get
Honestly.
those views.
Get those views. You can listen
those
on 5
numbers
times
We are
speed.
the
I
next.
don't care.
Who's a popular podcaster right now?
I'm a Chamberlain.
We are the next Amber
Chamberlain.
Chamberlain. Catch me at the Met, like hosting people.
All right.
Anyways.
So, AKA, tell us about yourself. What do you do? What do you like to do?
Honestly, right now I'm just kind of doing like my freedom.
Honestly, that's my life
Real
goal.
Yes.
Freedom Riders Diary.
That's all that I've
Yes.
ever wanted.
Yes, just kind of figuring out what I should do in the next coming years.
Period.
How long have let's talk about like how long have you and Barbie been together?
Ooh, okay. I think it's about 2.5 years.
Oh, he said about.
You
Is
don't
that
have
right?
the you don't have the
You don't have
exact
the
It's
date.
date.
about because we
do the math?
we differ on the
We differ.
on the-
We differ
On
on
the
like
starting
when it
date.
started.
Oh.
Because he. What do you say? Like you say it started when
I
we
say
met.
it started when our eyes locked.
Period.
Oh, please.
Okay, but Barbie here is a stickler for the rules.
Yeah, I
She's
was
a
like, you have to
conservative.
ask me to
She's-
be your girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah,
Conservative ass.
How you traditionalist? Jeez.
she's into the pomp and
Circumstance.
circumstance.
I really am. Yeah. So we've been together for 2 years. We met on Tinder, which is so silly. But it's like we're actually neighbors, so
Yeah.
it was fun.
Like literally neighbors, like a stone's throw.
Yeah, like we literally
hop,
just walked to
skip,
his
and a-
house to pick him up.
Yeah, we did. We
for
did.
this podcast.
So you guys have been neighbors since like you guys were children.
No, actually.
Oh, I thought you had lived the whole time.
Oh, did you not know that I'm an immigrant?
Oh.
As a fellow
Wait, I thought,
immigrant looking like person?
Wait, how old were you? How old were you when you
wait. So let's talk about that. How long have you?
Okay.
Were you not born here in this country?
No.
when did you immigrate here?
I came here 2008.
So
So how old were you?
I was in 5th grade.
Oh, so
Zero expectations.
Wait, so did you live at that house when fifth grade?
No, I actually
Oh.
went to this beautiful little town called Simi Valley.
Oh.
It's actually not beautiful.
I was
It's
like,
very racist.
I've been there.
Yeah.
It's very
It's terrifying.
racist.
It is very racist. That's
Valley.
where
No, I literally.
some riots happened.
Yeah.
And very
Wait,
bad
what?
stuff.
I actually.
Simi Valley?
Simi Valley, yes.
Yeah,
Wait,
bro.
what riots?
And the Ronald Reagan, I don't want to be wrong. I don't know exactly
Richie
which
will
riot.
fact
Richie's
check.
the fact
Don't
checker.
worry.
He'll look it up.
Okay, last week we talked about this. Ronald Reagan was the guy who did the war on drugs thing. Him and his wife.
Nixon.
I think no, that was Nixon.
Oh, what did Ronald Reagan do?
I think.
Oh, he had this big
No.
pardon. He had the big pardon.
What's the big part in?
Wasn't Ronald
Oh,
Reagan
for
like
the
there was
criminals?
no, not it was immigrants. Ronald
No,
Reagan. That's why
he would- he
that's why
would
my
not.
grandparents got citizenship in this country.
From Reagan?
Yeah, there was a huge pardon for everybody that was actually in this country.
Maybe it like
Just
depends
no.
on the
Reagan
country.
did war on drugs because I remember
See,
Nancy.
I love this guy.
Nancy used to get up on there and they used to like pray together and
Wait, okay, who was first?
What, you were
Reagan or
there?
Nixon?
Reagan or Nixon?
Who was first? President before?
Nixon.
Nixon.
So I think Nixon started it, and then I think Reagan followed up.
Solidified
again.
it.
Yeah, he was like, let's
I don't know. He
run that
piggybacked.
shit back.
But is that why you brought Reagan up? Because there was that huge pardon?
No, because he grew up in Simi Valley and I went to his house. I went to his library.
Oh, yeah, I really want to go to that library. There's like a big plane there.
Yeah, there's a plane and there's a piece of the Berlin Wall. Cause
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, because I sold during my very Christian days. I sold Christian literature in Simi Valley
bro.
during when Trump was running for presidency. And I remember I was at a door and they were like talking about one of the books was like related to politics or something. And they were like, "Oh, good. This will explain how this nation's going to shit with the election and stuff." I was like, "Yeah, it's really like scary right now. We don't know, like whoever the people who are running are really scary." He's like, "Yeah, right. That's why I voted for Trump." And I said, we were not talking about the same thing.
Oh wow.
You and I.
Wait, but I'm curious. You said there's riots in Simi Valley?
For what?
It was because of police brutality, but I don't know the name of which
Which
exactly.
Oh.
Was it not part of the LA
know.
riots?
No, it wasn't.
Was it like
a-
more recent? Like were
No,
you
it
there?
was in the 90s.
I love that
Oh.
we're all talking about something and like none of us
wasn't
actually. None of us like. Is it this? He's like, I don't actually know.
Yeah, I think it was the LA riots of 1992. Yeah, 1990s. Was
But
that
is
not
See-
Rodney King?
It
Is
looks
Simi
like-
Valley like in North Hollywood area?
No, it's like
In the valley.
in the boondocks. It's like beyond the mountains.
I always get Simi Valley and Silicon Valley. Very confused.
not
Are you
okay.
sure you're not talking about Silicon Valley?
Are you sure?
I think he
you
knew
know
where he
what those
lived.
places are.
But you did
Simi
live
Valley,
in the Silicon Valley too.
I did for like 2 years.
Wow,
So
He's
been
just
to
a
all the
well-traveled.
valleys.
No, I'm a geoho.
Geoho, explain that.
I'm a geoho.
What does that mean?
It means like whenever you go to a place, you want to live there on like day 2, day 1.
Did you? I feel like you were the kind of person who went like geo hunting. Do you guys know what that is? Or
That's
geocaching?
true.
You do
Geocaching,
get
I
geo-hunting
did.
vibes.
I found one in Palos Verdes. It's very fun. You guys should go.
Honestly, I feel like
I thought it was an
would kinda eat
online
that.
thing.
It is, but they give you like a location and you go search for it. It's
That's
like a
so
treasure
weird.
hunt.
Can you imagine you put something in the geocache and like you show up to this like whack ass place and you get murdered? Like what an easy
Talk
way
about-
for serial killers to like.
That's true.
Or you can hide something in a cool place. It doesn't have to be. You can be the geocacher.
You can be the change you want
Person
to see in the world.
hiding.
Okay, love that.
Yeah.
All right, you go geocaching. Podcast episode.
Wait, that's actually so cute. Okay.
Okay, let's keep it going.
Anyway.
Anyways, back to AK. Back to your story.
So yeah, Simi Valley was a trip. I think that's where I learned what America was, or at least white America.
And what is
from
white
Simi
America?
Valley.
White America is not nice.
And I'm like, let's talk about it. Like,
Yeah,
It
how
is-
was it? How was it? You were there in 5th grade, is that what you said?
Yeah, I was there in 5th grade, and I came in, funnily, like expectations with no expectations, because from India, I didn't even like register that we're moving because you're a 5th grader, and you kind of just like run around, you play, and the next day like you're in Simi Valley
Why did your
So your
parents
whole-
choose
with Mandy,
Well,
like
yeah, your
peddling
whole
Christian
family.
books.
Like,
Literally, I
moved.
was knocking on your door.
Yeah, that was it.
And what was the reason for that move?
My dad was living here on and off since like 2004, and my mom was also working in India, and we just wanted to like be a family together. So we were like, oh, let's go be together in California,
Why Simi Valley
And-
though?
because 2 of my uncles are in Simi Valley, so we knew people there,
Yeah.
and we were like, okay, well, they'll help us like kind of come into this country and figure out what's going on.
So then, after you saw everything in Simi Valley, 2 years later, you moved to.
you were like, I'm going back to India.
Yeah, I'm getting the
Like
fuck
I've
out.
had it.
but then
That's
you moved to where you are now.
Moved.
Oh wow.
And
He said, "Let me drop the address right now."
or doxing me in the podcast.
Yeah.
So then growing up here, what was like the biggest, going from India to America, what was like the biggest culture shock to you?
The biggest one that I remember right when I came here was that the kids there, at least in the Simi Valley, were not nice. Like I learned that in India, every kid is nice. They'll be mean to you, but once they're like friends with you. But for some reason, it didn't register to me that you can't like go and just play with anybody in America.
You have to like make them your friend.
You kind of
first.
have to like be accepted or be part of their group. Or it was that was like I went against my expectations.
Oh, and that was
What is with those
fifth grade
bitches
you.
in Silicon Valley? Is that where Breaking Bad took place?
Not
Simi
Simi
Valley.
Valley.
We're all like,
Jeez.
Bro, bring that up on
Breaking
the
Bad
map.
was in New Mexico.
That was not Breaking Bad.
Didn't you just say Breaking Bad?
No, Breaking Bad wasn't in New Mexico. Wasn't Breaking Bad? It took place in the
It
Silicon
is in
Valley?
New Mexico,
It's in New
Albuquerque.
Mexico. Yeah.
What? Never saw it.
Dude,
Why are you talking
don't
about it?
ask Miguel anything about
He's a
y'all.
geohole.
Oh,
Literally.
Simi Valley. I see it on a map. I see. So
Wait,
it is
what were the
kinda-
riots? What were the riots?
The LA riots?
Now you bring up the
no.
riots, you don't even know what.
Yeah, it was the LA riots.
No, it was
Bro,
it happened in
1990s.
Simi Valley.
Interesting.
It's not the LA riots. I
Okay,
just don't
but
know what it's called.
In the comments,
A
if
lot
you
of
guys are
times
listening and you
when-
know what riots they're talking about, let us know.
Okay, but a lot of times when riots are happening in LA, other riots happen in.
This is
Surrounding.
No,
this
but
was
the LA
before.
riots were more specifically in like the downtown, like South Central.
That's crazy. I wish I
area.
could have seen it, low key.
No, that was like the worst time. My
Exact-
parents always talk about it.
Yeah,
It's,
like I know
the
my mom
worst.
said she like heard about it and like, well, she lived in the LA area too at the time.
It
She
wa-
was like,
yeah,
it's
it was
crazy,
like,
and I was
why
like,
would
I
you
want to
wanna
see that.
experience it?
I don't know, not experience it, just like see it.
You live in LA. Wow. You can't just see it. You're gonna go home and then, God forbid.
You think something was? I live in the burbs.
Yeah, we're in the burbs.
I'm
What
big
do you mean?
chillin'. You're in the burbs.
Oh,
too.
I'm just saying, like
You're in the
like
burbs.
my parents were like in that
city.
in that city. I wouldn't want to experience it or see it. That's so bad.
Yeah.
It was after Rodney
King.
King verdict. Yeah,
Well-
that was bad.
Interesting.
But let's
I
talk a little bit more about your expectations.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're gonna be talking about.
Yeah, our
Yes.
topic of the day.
Topic of the day, expectations, which I feel like
Expectaciones.
can
Yeah.
be. They can be good. They can be bad. They can even you can go in with no expectations, kind of like what you said when you came here. You didn't really have any. But were you disappointed at all coming here and like realizing
Me.
like, oh, this is like people aren't friendly?
I don't think it hit me until like 5 years later. When I look back, I was like, wow, those are assholes. Because literally the second day I came to America, we went to Simi Valley, we went to our little apartment, and I came in with no expectations, expecting like kind of the same treatment you would get with kids in India. So I went to my neighbor's house, and there was a kid there outside playing with a football, and I was like, okay, can I play with you? And he was like, sure. So we were just tossing around a football. And at one point he was like, great spiral, bro. And I was like, okay,
Nice.
cool. I kept
Oh,
I kept
nice.
throwing the ball. And it turns out I was actually spiraling it long ways.
Oh,
Like I was tossing it.
Oh, so he
And
was
he
like
was-
making fun
he
He
of
was
you.
like-
making fun of me, and I had no
And you
idea.
ate it up.
And I was like,
Aw.
when he said that, great spiral, I was like, wow, yeah, okay, look, this is so easy. I made a friend.
Oh,
And then like a year later, after I watch a football game, I'm like, oh shit.
damn.
Explains why he never played with me again.
Oh,
But it's just shit
different.
like that. Like
yeah.
you don't expect people to treat you in a way when you don't know what the fuck where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
also like culturally, I guess like humor relationships are all like different too. Like I feel like growing up here, you don't talk to your neighbors either. Like I grew
Yes.
up. I had like a couple neighbors that I talked to when I was really little, but now I'm like I don't even know who lives next to me.
So true. There's some new neighbors that just moved in front of your house, AK, and
Mm-hmm.
they're our age. Haven't
You'll
said a
never
thing.
talk to
I'll
them.
never talk to them, but I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like I'm curious because like 4 or 5 of them, they seem like friends. They all moved in together in the house across the street. It's like we love.
They
If I
talk to my
was-
mom though.
If I was 8 years old, maybe I'd want to hang out.
But is that something that is like more bigger in other countries, or just something that was bigger, here, but years ago? Because I feel like
don't
people
know.
used to be so connected with their
Yeah.
neighbors. Where
I think it's just like the U.S. is very individualistic. Like people are, and capitalistic as well. People are busy. People are on their grind, and like I know LA culture specifically is like that because I know other states people talk to their
Be
neighbors.
very friendly.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, even my neighbors here next door, they moved in like 2 years ago, and honestly, it's one of those families that like they come home together with their kids, and like he leaves like with a suitcase, like a briefcase, very
briefcase,
all
very,
American.
like-
His name's Dylan. He's great, and and like with me, I'll leave my house. And I'll see him, and I'll immediately come back into my house because I
Why?
know because he will spark up a conversation. He is such
He's
a
hiding.
conversation. He's like, and he'll do like, "Good morning," and I'm like, "Hi, mom," or Dylan. And it's just like that. I get it. I understand. Like, it's a cool sentiment, but even myself, I'm kind of like, please don't talk to me. Like, and maybe that's just me.
That's
but
just the American in you.
yeah.
yeah.
Did you ever relate, AK, to like? I feel like Karate Kid. You know how he goes from like Detroit to like
Oh God.
he goes like Hong Kong. Is it Hong Kong?
I just anytime you say
No,
any
okay,
sort
hold
of
on.
story
First of all, I feel
about
like it's a
any
valid
sort of
question.
geographical place, am
They
scared.
go to Hong Kong.
He does go to China, yeah.
He goes to China.
I'm talking about the updated one though with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith. He was from Detroit and then he goes to like China.
He's like, I hate
He
it.
does.
yeah, he's
That's
like,
a great
I hate
movie.
it here.
Was that you?
Do I look black? Are we in China? No, I'm just kidding. But no, I think Jaden went there with a purpose. Like that's kind of what
What
I'm
was his
saying.
purpose?
His purpose was to be really good at karate.
I thought he didn't go there. He found his purpose when he got there.
That's true.
found
Yeah,
his
his
purpose.
mom had to move there.
That's
He
for
didn't.
work.
He
See,
found
I'm-
his purpose out of
I'm
not
mixing
wanting
the
to be
old
there.
movie and the new movie because in the old
Yeah.
movie,
I've never seen the old
That
movie.
was his
actually.
purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
I've
new
only seen the
movie,
one.
that's true.
I
he
love
didn't
that
want to
movie.
be there, and he found his purpose. So, what's your purpose, AK?
Oh wow, that's
What purpose did you find?
But in a sense, like you remember in like the airplane when he's like talking to that Asian guy, and
And the
then
guy's-
he's
he's
trying
like,
to talk
speaking
to him in
English.
Chinese, and he's like, "I'm from Detroit." That's the funniest movie. But you love that movie? But were there any similarities to like that expectation of? I mean, I can't even grasp the mentality of like moving to another country that I don't know, and like trying to have a good time.
Yeah, I guess you kind of have to, just like in the
I mean,
movie.
he didn't have a choice. You were like 10 years
yeah,
old.
you don't have
Yeah.
a choice. You kind of have to learn to deal with your circumstance and learn to stand up for yourself. Because I think he had the same story. Like he would try to play with Chinese kids and they would beat him up.
Yeah.
And then after a while, he was like, "That's why he learned karate,
Yeah.
and that's why I
What
carry
was
a
your
gun."
karate?
No, I'm just kidding. I don't have a
I
gun.
was like,
Okay,
I almost-
yes,
I almost
I'm
missed
24.
hearing that.
actually,
No.
I took AK to a shooting range for his birthday. Because, AK's actually a cop, guys. Let's talk about it.
No, I'm
Let's
not.
talk about it.
Let's talk about
What
it.
is a slander?
He went to police academy in high school.
Oh, what does
Yeah,
that
it
mean?
was
You could
like
do the police
volunteer.
academy in high school.
Yes, the sheriff's department and the police department, they have this program called Explorers. Where it's kind of like,
Me with my sexuality in high school.
Y'all were both explorers.
Baby, me and you.
oh yeah,
Me and you.
just different guns. But we were both shooting.
Okay. Oh yeah, brother.
Disgusting.
So you're doing explorers.
I was doing Explorers again. Like, didn't know what to expect because I've never interacted with the police officer before I went there to the academy, and they were like, "Get down on your knees, blah blah. blah. Don't look at me. Why are you
No,
looking at
really?
me?"
This
Oh
sounds
yeah.
like Beyond Scared Straight, not the
No,
police
that's
academy.
exactly what it is because they train you in the fashion of the U.S. Marines. That's how every police officer is trained, and that's why we have so many problems. Is because they put violence first, and I felt that they would do that with the kids because the whole idea is to break you down so that they can mold you
Mold you, yeah.
into their like.
Damn it. You're what, like
convictions and
16?
everything. Yeah, 16.
Oh, poor baby.
No,
But
actually,
you chose to do that.
14.
Get out of here with it.
I chose to
14?
do that as a 14-year-old. That shit's
my
fun.
God.
Like you feel good at the end of the day when you feel like
You
you've
got yelled
been
at
through it.
by a
Yeah,
big white guy.
yeah, and then like they give you a handshake, a firm handshake at the
Same.
end.
Yeah, you just want like a mentor. I feel like I'm 14. So
No, but it was like 300 of us.
my
So
God. Wow.
there was like brotherhood, there was community, even like the girls, they would get yelled at in their own way by the female cops because a lot of things would be different for their expectations. Like there was way more expectations on how girls should look. So they would get yelled at more for their hair like not being tight enough, or their dress is like untucked, and the guys would get yelled at for like behavior if we like look a certain way, or if we don't talk to someone with respect.
Can I ask, what was the most like shocking thing you learned about the police, like that you didn't expect, that you didn't know, like, and then you discovered by working with police?
They are suffering. They are suffering, but I'm not excusing them. I think they are like overworked. A lot of their shifts are like 16 hours. So they kind of put themselves in a position where
they're not gonna make good decisions.
yeah, they're not making good decisions. They're always angry. They're always like
fearing for their life too.
Yeah. It's like they're overworked. So when you push somebody to work that much, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, when they have
So it's not a
people's
good
lives in their
profession.
hands too.
How long
Damn.
were you at the academy before you like either gave up or?
No.
What did you
actually,
graduate or did you give up? Or
graduated?
were you too scared?
I was the captain of Cerritos.
Wait, really?
Hey, really?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, we're really getting into the
graduated
lore.
academy.
Hey, cuff me up, officer. Take me.
I'll take you to jail.
Hey, we're gonna have our little private time in the cell.
Can I work bail? What was it? What was it? So why are you not like a police officer now?
Yeah, what made you not pursue it?
Because of exactly what I told you like 2 minutes ago. I found out they're all
Everyone's
kind of miserable. And there were good people there, like the people who work the traffic stations, the people who work like the 911 operators. They have like watch commanders who kind of just make sure the calls are getting like routed. Those are like okay. But then I went on one ride along.
Oh wow.
Always wanted to do one.
No, you don't.
Always wanted to do one.
They kind of do fucked up shit. Like they kick people out of their cars for sleeping, and they drive down the riverbed and just kind of like fuck with people because they can. They're police officers.
Damn.
So that was like my first and last time, and I got out.
Yeah.
Did you ever question their motives as to why they were doing that? Were you like in the back like, what was the reason for that?
No, he was telling me. He was. I don't remember the exact words, but he didn't like that they were just laying around in their cars. He would call them like lazy and just shit like that. And yeah,
Dang. Well, we are glad you're not a police officer.
And we're glad you don't carry.
And
a
we're
gun.
glad you made it out.
got a gun in my pants.
Bro.
Okay.
Enough.
Okay,
Enough.
AK-47.
there we go.
Have you guys seen those videos of the kids who are like, what does your gun sound? Should we do it?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
yeah.
Mandy, what's your gun sound? I hated that one. That was the worst. Barbie, what's your gun sound?
Wait.
What are you shooting pellets? What are you at the airsoft range?
It's like a machine gun. No, it's like, what's the one that goes really fast?
A Gatling.
Okay, what's your gun sound?
It's a water gun.
Ooh, that was wet.
It's a water gun. I got a water gun. Non-violence.
That did sound like a water gun.
He's a man of peace.
Okay, Miguel.
My gun is ba ba ba.
What do you have, two guns?
I know what the hell.
He pulls out like 5.
Okay. We were literally alluding to expectations, but
Right.
we, have
We
to
never
get-
actually
we were
started
talking about expectations.
Yeah, let's lock in, guys.
Let's lock in.
Lock in.
I think one of the things about expectations is that everyone, and it's weird because everybody has them, even if you don't even choose to
Yeah.
want to subscribe to it.
Yeah, I
So
feel
it's
like-
just this phenomenon of like you don't really have a choice. You can say like, oh, I've never had expectations for anything, but in reality, like no, you're a human being. You've always wanted, or you've always had these expectations
Yeah, like,
for whether
even
your life
when
is going to go or.
Even AK, when you were saying like you came here without any expectations, but then like when things didn't, like you didn't even notice that you had those expectations because they're just kind of ingrained in us. Like, oh, you just expected kids to be nice, you know? So it's like even if we don't recognize it, it's when things don't already align with whatever we have in our cultural background, whatever we have in our like familial background, how we were raised. Like we're all made up of so many of those, which I think is good in some sense.
We're like mosaics of expectations.
so-
Both ones that have been let down and ones that we are holding up.
Wow,
That's true.
beautiful.
I'm like poetic.
Okay.
Wait, Mandy, what would you say is like your most recent expectation that you've been like either striving towards or have been shocked about?
I think, I mean, the one, even this week, I started my new job 2 weeks ago. So I've been kind of just like getting situated in that, and I know I always struggle with like job anxiety. Like I hate starting new things because the fact that I don't know what to expect. And whenever I start jobs, I like, hey, like if you want to be a good like mentor to me, a good supervisor, I need to know what your expectations are of me, because if I don't, I have such imposter syndrome, and I always feel like I'm doing a shitty job unless I know like step by step what is expected of me. And for this job, it's mental health, obviously, and this is what I got transferred a couple times to different programs. And the program that I'm in right now is a residential facility for guys who have substance use. A lot of them are on the spectrum, have trauma, and either a bipolar or schizophrenia diagnoses. Dang. I did not expect to be working with guys who've been through so much and experiencing so much. And I don't feel like I was prepared to be able to like work with that in a way that's like helpful. And so like the past week, I've just been feeling so anxious. I just feel like, who am I, to like what can I actually do to help these guys? And I've been every day I'm like, fuck, like what am I supposed to do? And it's also like the other thing where it's like, when you're talking to people, I never know what to expect. Each session, I don't know what they're going to bring up. I don't know if I'm going to have the skill set to say anything actually helpful for them. And it's so stressful. And I also recognize that, like, I was talking to one of the guys who's been working there who kind of knows, like, hey, what's needed to be successful at this job? And I was kind of talking to him like, hey, like, I don't know how to actually help these guys. Like, a lot of them are putting a lot on me to like, it's like I have high expectations of myself. They're only there for 30 days. And I'm like, what the fuck can I do to help solve 20 years of trauma for these guys, substance use and like.
Well, isn't that your job, like your profession?
Yeah. But it's like such a short period of time to be able to like address so much, and so it's like, it's heavy shit. And then so I'm thinking, I'm like, and also, like, I feel like it comes back to, like, I don't know, being raised Christian, I always feel like I have sort of, like, a savior mentality, too. It's like, I need to be the one to help them, and it's, like, at the end of the day, like, people are in charge of their own stuff, like, saving their life and whatever they need. Like, nobody can save anybody else kind of thing. But it's still something that I'm, like, putting on myself. I'm still having that expectation, like, I'm going to make a difference, right? And those guys are like, oh, I'm coming to this program. I'm devoting like so much of my time to get better. So I'm expecting drastic changes. And that's so much pressure. And it's not something that like, I obviously want to be a part of that, but it's like with expectation comes a lot of pressure. It's like whether or not, is this even like realistic expectations, And
are there things that realistic? You do to like lessen that anxiety?
I've been trying. I have my own therapist. But I think also one thing that I recognize is like the one thing that we kind of is bad with expectations is like we always want the end goal, right? We want the big picture. We want that big expectation met, but we don't always recognize the small steps we take towards that, or even being able to recognize like the little wins. And like when you're a therapist, especially working with people who are like highly dysfunctional, you have to be able to recognize those little wins because those are the stepping stones, right? But we don't want to do that. We want big picture. We want quick. We want easy answers.
We want solutions.
We want solutions, and like life isn't that easy. Life isn't that. There's no magic pill, that we can take that's gonna solve everything. And it's like that's what I've been trying to tell myself every day. It's like recognize those small things.
Do you see, and this goes for everybody, like, are you where you thought you would be? Like, do you, like, as far as expectations, like, would 15-year-old you, like 10 years ago, look at yourself now and be like, oh yeah, that makes sense?
I think it's really, and we talked about this in an episode with Noelle, but the idea of expectations, it was so funny because I was listening back to that episode and we were just both depressed. Yeah, we were literally just both like depressed. But I think the the reality of it is being in our 20s right now, and we're growing up trying to live up to these expectations that not only have we put on ourselves, but we're trying to like uphold the expectations that maybe our parents put on us, and maybe even like for some of us the religion put up for us, and to realize that life isn't going the way that we thought it would it could be like a super big downer.
Yeah.
Which I think is why maybe a lot of young people struggle with like depression and anxiety and stuff like that, because of the idea of like expectations. And but I also think that the win, like Mandy said, is to recognize the little wins that you have in life, and to really just be mindful and aware of those little small victories, because they do happen, but because it's not big picture, we kind of just take it for granted, and then we miss out on mostly everything, really. So, I mean, I'm not where I thought I would be.
Where do you think you would be?
I don't know. Honestly, I think that's my biggest thing with expectations is I really have struggled. Even this past month, like we had wrapped the show that we were working on end of like April or whatever, and I didn't have like another show to work on, another gig for like a month. And so I'd wake up literally every day at like noon, 1 p.m.
Me.
And
Literally.
and honestly, after some time, like that gets depressing. Like, cause you see people and like friends of mine who are like working on TV shows, and like even we were just on the same project, the last time, and now they have another one. And
Kind
it's
of like comparing yourself.
yeah.
to
And I'm like, damn, how did they get that one? Like, can I get on it? Like, I really want work. And I remember I was talking to my therapist, and I was just super, super down about that, because I was like, I don't want to wake up at like noon or
Ever.
1 p.m.
I don't want to wake up ever.
and at the same time too, that cuts on me, right? It's a choice. Like I can get up and do something active. I can go on a hike. I can do whatever. But I wake up at noon and 1, and she was like, well, how long have you been out of work? And at the time I was just like, honestly, like maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks, like a month maybe. And she was like, but how long were you working before that? And I was like, I think we were shooting for like 3 or 4 months. And she was like, and how many hours were you kind of getting a week? And I was like, I was clocking like 70, 75 hours. And she was like, well, don't you think that you deserve a couple of weeks to just like bed rot and like rest and recharge? Because she's like, you have another one coming up, in June, and you're probably going to, be working and find something in between, but also you're going to be working those kind of hours again. So she was like, don't you think it's important to recharge? And I was just kind of like, yeah, but just my expectation of
it's like
and even my parents, right? Like they're always like, what, are you not working today? And I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, as they're like heading out the door with like, croissant in hand.
Yeah.
And then I get even more anxiety, because I'm like, oh my God, everyone's out of the house. Everyone's at work doing what they have to do. And I'm saying, it almost feels like
you feel like ashamed.
I feel like ashamed, because I'm like, I'm not working. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. And so I think that's been like my struggle with expectation. But I think I'm really trying to allow myself the victory of like, hey, like you just did this really cool shoot for a couple months, and now you're going back to another one in June. Chill. Find stuff to keep you active. Like I'm working at a flower shop for this week.
Cute.
Like, and it's like super fun. And
Copycat.
I know. I was like, Icky works at
it's so funny. Like, we all worked at the same flower shop.
Not me. So cute. Oh, not you, huh?
Not you yet. But
Your
watch
ex.
out.
Bro,
when you're done with that job, I got the hookups for a flower shop job.
But it's super quick and convenient, and everyone's super nice there. So that's I kind of look forward. Like I come home drained as hell, because I'm like it's a lot of work, and I'm only gonna do it for a week. But even then, like I know that I'm doing. It's almost like I have a purpose.
Yeah.
And my purpose is to make a flower.
No, there's something that my dad always, because I was telling him like, when I was feeling really down, and like a lot of times I know I can like catastrophize, where it's like if one thing goes wrong.
Oh, that's a good word. What does that mean? Catastrophize?
It's
like catastrophe?
You kind of like go down a rabbit hole in your mind, where it's like, this went wrong. What if this goes wrong? What if this goes wrong? Everything's gonna go wrong. Yeah.
Literally me.
And so like,
spiraling.
a person fixates on the worst possible outcome and treats it as likely even when it is not.
Me.
So I know I can do that, and I'll like, I'm a verbal processor, and I'll be saying that at my house. What my dad always says, he's like, Mandy, you have to learn to roll with the punches, and like that always.
That's a very white dad phrase. I kind of
yeah.
I appreciate it.
He honestly has some good ones though, and whenever he says,
Okay,
it,
but
I'm
I
like,
wouldn't have to
yeah.
roll with the punches if nobody punched me in the first place. How about that?
Oh,
But that's the thing. It's like life does.
Life
It's
is
like,
one big punch.
and like I feel like it's always like we have
punch.
those expectations. But even for me, like when I'm thinking about what did I see myself at 15, I'm so glad I'm not any of those things. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about whatever 15-year-old me wanted to be.
Well,
You know,
what if 15-year-old you wanted to be?
I don't know, probably something Christian or some shit.
Wait, she wanted to be a
She wanted to be
worship
a
leader at
housewife.
Hillsong.
Bro, probably. And I'm just like a lot of things are even like in relationships. Like I really at 15, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be married, but I was like, I'm
Me
not
too.
trying to do that. Like,
I remember being 17, being like, I want to be married by the time I'm 22. And I remember when I was 22, I was like, that's just
yeah, it's just
I mean,
like
honestly,
I
I still have that.
Yeah.
I think I wanted
wish
to be
I
a
could.
monk.
it's too late. Man.
I know.
AK said he wanted to be a monk.
No, literally, like 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, everybody's like, okay, what do you want to do? What do you want? And I was like, I think I'm just going to be a monk. Like, I want to be a
Honestly,
fisherman.
8.
And, I still do. But while we're talking about jobs, I think it's like the clearest place you can analyze like your expectation is after a job. Like Miguel was saying, like after the job, how do you feel? Is what is it that space that you filled it with, how are you using it now? And I felt this a lot when I went to my first job after college. And it's kind of like I had been training to work as a software engineer since like 9th grade. Like you have to study math, you have to study science, you go to college, it's a grind. And you do all that with like a certain expectations. It might not even be yours. It might be like your parents' expectations. It might be your culture's expectations, stereotypes, whatever. You do all that. You go to the job, and I felt empty. My first year, I was like, this is not what I expected. Because you put everything, all your efforts towards the expectation, and you realize like it's nowhere near
It's not what you
where it was.
yeah, what you thought it was gonna be.
So it was like really empty, and that's kind of where like I started kind of thinking about like, what if you don't have expectations? We don't have to hold on to it. And
Was that hard for you, like to let go?
oh yeah, it took like, it's kind of still going. I'm in my recovery era from 3 years of in the belly of tech
Corporate.
where it really like killed me. And I'm learning that it's the difference between an expectation and a goal is very different. It's like it's very big. Expectation is sort of like it has a timer on it. There's a time when your expectation will get met or will fail you. But if you have like a goal, you'll always like pursue the goal regardless of the outcome.
That makes sense.
And that's kind of how I'm trying to like reshape the things that I do, how I spend my time is like try to put towards working at the flower shop. No expectations, but I wanted to be with nature. I wanted to work with my hands. And it sucks, but at least like it's it sucks.
I hate it.
But I think it's interesting
terrible.
because I think you have a very specific situation. Like you're going from this super big tech company, like you go to school for like math and all these things, and you kind of did meet that expectation, right? That you were going to go into
Yes.
Like you did everything you were supposed
you did,
to do.
and then but talk a little bit more about like after your first year when you realized like, oh shit, like I might
is
actually
not what
be
I want.
miserable.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine. It has to take so much to
Get out of that
get
space.
out of it, but to also realize that. Did you ever feel like it was like you were wasting? Like, damn, if I do this, I just wasted all my education. Like
Or like feel shame or like guilt about it.
I still do. I mean, like last month I was in India and everybody made sure that when I would tell them like, hey, I'm kind of not into it or not thinking about tech, they would let me know. So that's always there.
Yeah.
And that's always going to be there within myself as well. But I'm learning how to sort of not live in the past because those are all things from the past. And, tradition, history, family, it is important. But you can also shape your future in a certain way where it doesn't hurt you and you still like, you value your past. So I'm not gonna ever let go of technology. I don't think all technology is bad.
Yeah.
So the to answer your question, it was like I feel like I'm not gonna waste my education just because I don't work in tech.
that's true.
I have things planned like in my personal projects, things that I'm working on, where going to school for computer science is helping me. One of the thesis I'm working on is like joining computer science and history, and it's just kind of like you have to figure out ways to make it work for you without having to throw it away. But I did throw it away for a year where I was like,
Yeah.
fuck this, like I'm not touching a computer again.
You didn't throw it away. You put it in the drawer.
Yeah.
Locked it
Yeah,
up.
and I burned it, but it's,
Oh, wow.
but it's like I'm rekindling the ashes
No.
and
Yeah.
You should
there's
make
a
an app.
baby feed.
Could you make an app?
Yeah.
Lord Far Squad Pod app?
Oh yeah, make us an app.
Put him to work. Yeah.
What's the app gonna be?
It's gonna
Just
be
your
like,
faces. Like
It'll be
scroll
like a-
through your faces.
It's just a photo gallery of just us. Downloadable
Download the
HD. Downloadable HD.
Sure,
4K
yeah.
It's like you
wallpapers.
have to subscribe $2.99 a month. You get a new photo every week.
It's like the Kimojis.
Dude, I was just about to say, do you remember Kimojis? We should make. Wait, we're onto something here.
Yeah, sure.
Cut all this out.
Make an app very easy.
No,
If you guys ever do live shows, you can have like a live game app where the viewers can
like,
download
play
the
along.
app and they kind of like interact with you.
No way.
That's a lot of
Let's do
work.
that.
I don't want that.
Let's
Okay.
wait.
I don't want that kind of access.
No, but what you were saying, like, I definitely relate to because, like, I got my master's in social work and, like, I went to work and I was like, this is, like, really heavy and, like, I don't know if this is something I can manage to do that long. And while I do feel like I am really good at it, I don't know if it's, like, rewarding enough for me to want to continue. And, like, I've been kind of battling with that because there is, like, a lot of shame about it. It's like I literally put in so much work and money. And then
Yeah.
also, like, my parents have expectations too, and they'll be like, hey, like, why aren't you working, like, a job that's going to get you a lot of money, you know? And it's like, it's not like I don't want money, but it's like, but at what cost, you know? And, like, it's really scary because I feel like I worked so hard for this goal that I really thought I wanted. And when I got it, it's not as I expected, obviously. And one thing I've been kind of trying to realize that it's okay for your goals to change. It's okay for what you want to change, and nothing is ever like a final. Like, and that's one thing I work on with my therapist a lot. It's like I have decision paralysis because I always think any decision I make, I'm gonna be stuck with that the rest of my life. I'm gonna have to fully commit to this forever. I'm be stuck in it, you know. And like that's really terrifying because like we're always changing. Like even talking about like I don't want the same things I did when I was 15. And I probably won't want the same things next year that I do now.
But that's good. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
and
everyone.
We're
you always grow.
calibrating.
We're calibrating. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
like, sorry.
No,
go
you
ahead.
go, you go.
Oh, and I was like, one thing I've been trying to do for myself is like, rather than having really concrete expectations and goals, like, this is what I want for myself, this is exactly what it needs to look like, just having like overall like vibes, low key, like this is how I want
Guys,
to feel.
at the end of the day,
Yes.
it's
It's
all about the
vibes, the
vibes.
vibe.
It is.
Because we can't control so many aspects of life, and so saying things need to look a specific way is just like, it's really impossible. Like playing God in some sense, where it's like, I can't know that. I can't even know if like, even if that all falls into place, whether or not I'll want it by the time I get it. You know, so
Yeah, you can have like an idea.
yeah, and so I feel
But-
like I'm
But then
trying to
how
be
do you
less-
like? Okay, but how do you like balance like not wanting to like be a slave to expectations, but then also being unmotivated completely
Yeah,
because
still
you're
having
like
goals
nothing
and
That's-
matters.
I
no
think
having no
goals are
goals.
different from expectations.
So having goals is like
Maybe it's also a thing like expectations sound like something that we always put on ourselves for the long run. I feel like goals are like you can make goals for yourself that are very achievable in like a certain like small time frame, really, so that you're not panicking about the future in that way. But I think an idea is kind of like, this is where I think I want my life to go, like right now. Like this is where I feel most comfortable. So therefore, like even people who change career paths, right? Like when they were kids, they study this whole thing and and then they realize at the end that they didn't want to do that for the rest of their life, and that's okay, right? I mean, at least you got to a point where you.
I'm low-key so scared that I like if I actually like make it into the film industry that I don't like the vibes.
Well, that's what I was
And,
gonna say too.
Let me just say.
Well, because
I need to be more confident in myself. Like, oh, I will make it. But like sometimes, you know, like I've seen here and there like some parts of it that I just don't like. You know what I mean? And I'm not even that deep in it to be able to say that. But I you know, like
What parts do you not like? The cocaine?
the cocaine, you know, the
bitch, what cocaine?
kidding.
Me.
No,
Miguel said where?
He's like, let me know. No. Just I feel like I can't explain like the way that people talk to each other and treat each other sometimes. And I know that sometimes you, at the end of the day, you have to be a little like cutthroat and stuff like that. And I'm just not that kind of girl. I'm not a very cutthroat person. I'm very like,
Let's respect each other.
hold on. Yeah. So I don't know, like, will I become cutthroat the more arrogant I become, the more confident I become? Will I become a certain way? And like, what if I like am deep in and I'm like, wait, this is not the vibe. And then I'm like, dang, that's crazy.
And that's what I'm saying.
But
like,
I'm not saying
sometimes
that.
you don't know till you
I
make
hope
it.
But do you
the
think-
gods of fate know that I'm not saying that, and I would very much like to be in the industry. And I would very much like to be a director / DP.
But
so
I would
if you're
change
listening-
I would sort of change, like, not that you don't want to be in the industry, or like you want to be in the industry, but you just don't want to be a part of that industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you have
'Cause they
to,
make
again,
movies
you have to have an
everywhere else.
idea of like, oh, you know, I've kind of seen like a glimpse of this part of the industry. I don't like, you know, the cutthroatness. I don't like the hierarchy of things. I don't like this or that. But
the way they treat PAs, like justice. Like God forbid, when I'm directing my own stuff, like the PAs are being treated like awful.
I mean, but
Actually, they deserve it. By the time I get there, they deserve it.
Honestly,
Why is the coffee not in my hand?
you know what I mean? But like, there's also a space for there 100% is a space for you in the industry, and if you believe that there's not, create that space.
Yeah.
So
you know what I mean? Like,
true.
And also,
Yeah.
we create our environment. So, like,
That's
if you're not
true.
happy with something,
Yeah.
then we do have
But-
some ability to change
You're
it.
right. I have been on sets where everybody's actually kind to each other, but like it's the thing that it's like, wow, it's different.
Yeah.
Which
yeah,
is crazy.
Barbie,
It's not the
you.
normal.
It's like
You
okay,
create
you're
that
not
space.
in Hollywood, but you also are. You
Yeah.
directed music videos. You directed
True.
like
Period.
short films, but so you are Hollywood.
I'm Hollywood, guys.
Yeah,
I mean,
And
she's
when I
not
was
like
your PA,
Artesia.
you treated me like shit. No.
I know. Me too.
And you work us
Honestly,
like
if my
slaves.
sibling, all my siblings who have helped me with projects, they would say that I'm like a tyrant. They'd be like, "Don't work with her." I was doing a photo
get
shoot with Miguel once, and
blacklisted?
I was yelling at my little sister because she wasn't holding the light right. I was like, "No, the angle," and she's like, "Sorry," but I don't know. It's just my siblings. They
Literally
piss me off.
unpaid,
Yeah,
Unpaid.
unpaid work,
No
child
credit.
labor. I was so
No
bad. I was
credit.
like, "Bitch, just stand
Do your
still.
job right.
Do your
no
job."
crafty.
Literally, no crafty. Anything.
But I would say too, like, so for people like Mandy and AK, you guys major in two fields that are very, I mean, difficult, right?
Yeah.
Like those are, and like Barbie, you know, you majored in film, so
so did you. What are you?
oh,
What are you trying to say?
but I guess what I think, and this is like my question that I want to ask the group is like, there is almost kind of like when I think of a major like medical or math or whatever it is that's going to lead you to
AK
like
did not study math.
I know you keep
Bitch,
saying math.
so-
You keep saying he studied
You
math.
had to for computer
He
stuff.
studied
yeah,
some
thank you
math.
so
Computer
much.
science, though.
Whatever,
Like, get it right.
bitch.
Like, don't be lying on my man's name. Like,
Computer
don't
science
be
is just math, so it's okay.
Thank you, AK.
BB. I'm trying to defend you.
We get in the pass.
But it seems like they're I don't know. To me, if you major in something like that, that's so specific, it's almost like you have your whole life set. So you guys had to go into your majors thinking like, okay, once I graduate college,
This is-
I'm gonna
my
get my
life is set.
master's.
Yeah.
Once I get my master's, I'm gonna go to this corporate job and do this. I'm gonna have a 9 to 5,
Yeah.
and that is a super big expectation.
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah.
the more creative fields.
We're just kind of like, we know we're going to be broken, like not knowing what's
It's
going
like
on.
you do expect that, right? That you'll be a struggling artist, or that you'll, end up somewhere at some point, or like there's just so many different avenues in this industry of like film and television that even after college, after I got the degree and everything, there were so many jobs that I didn't even know were jobs that I was like, oh shit, like I can do that for a living.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like and Barbie, maybe you can speak on this too, but for the ones who study the creative fields, is it more like, is it a little less overwhelming because you kind of know that you have options in a way?
I guess sometimes I think my expectation was what I'm going, like what I can't say that I'm looking at myself right now and being like, oh, I expected to be much further in life. I definitely feel like, especially when I was in college, I was like, yeah, like this is where I'd be. Maybe I hope to be a little bit further, if that makes sense. Like maybe, but I also know that I delayed myself because I took that stupid corporate job for a year, you know? But
you have a self-driving Tesla.
I don't
Like
think
you
that
made it.
I really don't think that was a delay.
You know what? Yeah, because like, sorry, sidetrack, but like they gave me like a software update where it's like letting me like beta test
Drive
like
itself.
self-driving. I'm eating that shit up.
You can self-drive anything.
She needs it.
Yes, and
Did you know?
And it's self-spark. Wait.
No, hold on.
Wait, I
Did you
didn't-
know that every single Tesla can actually like, you know how you can buy or take it off?
Yeah.
You know, they literally just like turn it on for you. Like every
Yes.
car is actually built to
Yeah.
self-drive.
Yes.
But it's an additional like
Yeah.
$15,000 or
No,
something.
it's only like, I think it's only like 8,000 or
like
5,000.
$10,000 to turn it on.
Yes, but I'm telling you, he gave it to everybody for free because they
Because
need
it's
more.
all software.
Yeah, they just need more beta testing, and so he gave it to everybody. And I'm sure he's gonna take it away in a couple months once they perfect it. So right now, it parks itself, baby. It drives
That's
itself.
sick.
It's
But
really cool.
It's honestly such a scam.
So, anyways, back to me answering my question. The only reason I have that car or could afford that car was because of that corporate job that I took, which was nice, but I feel like if anything, that was like the break in expectations was being like, oh, this is such a nice like job, like, you know, it's like
I mean, you had a steady
9 to
check, you
5
had-
steady check. I was so depressed. So it's actually met the expectations of what I thought. I was like, corporate sucks, actually.
And you knew.
As far as like being creative and I think it just depends on how you approach maybe life or things,
Yeah.
because this is something that I was born wanting to do. Like, I don't know why. I just always wanted to do it. I don't see myself doing anything else. So even though I'm not exactly where I want to be, I think that goal, like AK talks about, that goal is always there of like, oh, this is going to be my career. I literally don't see any other option. So it's not like if I don't have a gig for a week, I'm like, maybe this isn't for me. Like, you know, which is so funny because like 20 minutes ago, I was just saying like, what if it's not for me? That's because I haven't made it yet. But I'm
Yeah.
saying like, I think a lot of people in the creative industry can let themselves down, maybe because they maybe prioritize financial stability more than, you know, and that's fine. Like some people have to prioritize financial stability. I can say that I'm really privileged that I get to live at home for free. My parents
Yeah.
aren't charging me rent. You know what I mean? Like it's embarrassing that I still live at home, but at the same time, like now I'm not like struggling financially necessarily. So even though I don't have a big check, I can still like, you know, take the gigs I want to take.
Yeah.
And so I think if you have this mentality of like, this is the goal and there's nothing but this, then I don't think it's that hard to keep going. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm crazy, but I don't think it's that hard to keep going. And that if you give up, then maybe that was your expectation of like, it was going to be easy. I never thought it was going to be easy.
But I think that's also one of the things too, is because I remember like I had a friend who told me where I was kind of saying the same thing of like, you know, I live at home. I can do, you know, I can take the gigs that I want. Like I'm trying really hard and like I know it's hard, but like I'm gonna keep going. Like I'm doing as good as I can, yada yada yada. And I don't know why he gagged me a little bit. I forgot what he said exactly, but he was just kind of like, "Oh, well, like you're really lucky that you're in a place to be able to do that because not a lot of people get to."
No, that's
so
what I'm
when you
saying.
talk about people who
Privileges.
like, yeah, they're very
It's-
privileged.
but that's why I preface it. I was saying it is a privilege that
Yeah.
I have that I could be at home and do that.
Yeah, of course. And so I think it's and it's scary because like
Because there are people who literally fly like from the Midwest to LA and they're like, to pursue my dreams. I don't know if I could do that.
yeah,
I happen
really
to
don't
live.
think
I
so
happen to
either.
live in LA. That's crazy.
Would you
Like,
go to Ohio to if the
If
movie
Ohio
industry
was
went
Hollywood?
to Ohio? Would you go there?
I don't think I could afford it.
No. Like
Can't
it's
relate.
not that you can't afford it. Like you have to go there and figure it out.
That's what I'm saying. Every single person that I know, which is most of my friends, have moved from the Midwest or some other part of the country to come here and do
Yeah,
film.
they're actively pursuing.
And
So
I-
are they more
I-
passionate
and-
than us?
I don't think it's that they're more passionate,
like,
but
hold
I
on.
say that I always tell them is like, I don't know that I would have the balls to do that.
I'm just saying, you either got it or you
It's
don't.
your viewpoint, and it's
Yeah.
also like your values. Like, what do you value? If you value
Some people
success, you're gonna-
value financial security.
Yeah,
And that's
fine.
period. Go for
But
it.
then
But don't
start
be telling
making
other
moves.
people not to follow their dreams just because you couldn't.
Yeah, and also if you value financial stability, don't be doing something that doesn't make a lot of money. You're not going to feel like you're meeting your expectation. It just doesn't.
Also,
make
not every passion has to be your job. Like that's exhausting too.
Period.
That we always want to be like, we always want to capitalize, and it's not our fault. You know, we want to
Yeah.
It's because society's fucked up, guys. I think back in the day,
We live in a
God knows how
society.
many days ago, but back in the day, look. I'm quoting a TikTok. I'm so sorry. So I don't actually know how factually true this is, but apparently the average medieval peasant worked around this like 4 days a week, and it
Period.
wasn't. But obviously,
That is such a lie.
Hold on,
You want to be
hold
a
on.
serf?
Hold on. Hold on. Let me explain.
You wanna break your
Hold
back.
on. And
Surfboard. Surfboard.
Let me
Bro,
finish my fucking thoughts so you can
okay.
understand what I'm saying. Maybe it wasn't medieval, but the point is like back in the day when they didn't have all these before we industrialized, right? Obviously people were working more, but it was more spread out. If that makes sense, like wake up, tend to the sheep, whatever, come home. The amount of work they had way more leisure time than we have now, is what I'm trying to say. Now we live in such a capitalism society that's like work, work, work. And so it's not our fault that we feel like, oh, if I want to do art, I have to make it my work. Because we usually don't have that much time to pursue art outside of work, right? So it's like, oh, if I want to be a writer, if I want to be a painter, or this and that, how can I turn this into an Instagram reel to get money for it so I can, because if not, when am I going to find the time? My 9 to 5 takes up way longer than 9 to 5. It usually takes up more. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
I mean, maybe
But
if you weren't on
back
that
in the
goddamn
day-
phone all day. Get off of TikTok where you saw this from and get to work.
Yeah.
It just seems like nobody wants to work these days.
Nobody
Back in the
wants to
day,
work these
also, if you were a bad artist, you were sent to the gallows. They didn't have a choice. You have a choice of like working on your art, getting better.
You can make bad art and not be murdered.
They didn't have a choice.
actually, that's not true either. Because back
That
in the
is
day,
true.
you couldn't be an artist unless it was for religious reasons.
No, you were part of a troupe or a tribe who were like, you were like born to be an artist.
I was in a thespian troupe.
Nobody cares, dude. Nobody cares.
You're right. They had shorter work days, but they didn't have a choice, and their work was like picking
Brutal.
cow
Okay, so
cow
you're
manure.
so you're pro the way that everybody has to turn all their hobbies into jobs because that's the only way we can survive.
No,
So
I
then
just
what do you
think
say?
those are two different things.
You know what?
I want to be a medieval like pirate.
Oh, what the fuck does that even
Go
look
ahead.
like? Were the pirates around
What's
during
stopping
the medieval
you?
times?
Oh yeah, there were pirates.
Like while Jack
all
Sparrow
the
was in the
time.
boats in the Atlantic.
That was not
what
the
was
medieval
happening on
times.
the land.
No,
That's what I'm saying. Like I think these are two very different
That
time
was the
periods.
colonial times.
That's exactly what I'm getting at.
Okay, well,
I'm
anyway.
just trying to say history can seem enchanting, but just like today, the same like problems with money, capitalism existed back then, probably in worse ways.
Real. I agree.
All right.
Dangerous
he
ways.
clocked me.
He gagged
Clock.
you.
He said,
Gagged
we're not
and
spreading
gagged.
misinformation.
He said, "This is my
You
podcast."
can roleplay
now.
peasant.
Thank you.
Oh,
Can I roleplay your wench?
I hate this. This is my nightmare.
Me too.
Okay. Speaking of societies back in the day, is there any societal expectations? Like we talk so much about career, right? But like society expectations, maybe even relationships. Like let's talk about those kind of expectations.
Mandy, relationship expectations.
well, I mean, I already talked some of them were like, even when I was a kid, I was very like, oh, like relationships look this way and they look, the heteronormative, you're going to get married by this age, you have this many kids. Just everything I had ideally as a kid is not what I want now, And I was even talking to my therapist about this, that even though my expectations have changed and I don't want that anymore, still the idea of going back to like a high school reunion is terrifying just because I know I don't have any of those things. And I feel like they're going to be, I don't know, I feel like I'm being judged or looked down on because I don't have whatever society's expectations of me, even though I don't give a fuck about those things. I don't want to get married. I hate
Wait, so
kids.
you wouldn't
You
go
don't
back
want
to
to get
your...
married? Let's talk about that.
I don't want to get married right now.
Oh,
Maybe eventually, but I'm not like,
does?
that's not something I'm like,
Me, I wanted to be married by 22.
me too.
Even now.
Well.
Ya me puedo casar.
But did you never want to go to your... Because, there's people who were like, I would never go to my 10-year.
I don't think I would never, but
Yeah, me
I don't
neither.
really
I
wanna
always
go.
look forward to
I
it.
don't wanna
Really?
go.
Always.
It's because you
Every single time. Like, even in like now, we did like a middle school one. And I was like, I'm going. I have to go because I have to prove. And maybe this is like the downside of it, right? Like I was like, I have to prove that I am doing
Well,
better
Than they expected.
than they expected.
And
But
that's what I'm
honestly,
saying, like, I
maybe it
don't-
was just me projecting that
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be
Somewhere.
like less than I was.
Yeah. And that's why I don't like it. The thing is, it's like my day to day, I don't think about those fuckers.
Why do they deserve to know?
Exactly.
Your
It's
story?
like that's why I don't want them to perceive me, because it's just like I don't care about them on the daily basis. Why am I gonna care about them at this 10-year reunion? You know, and it's like there's some nice things like, oh, I would love to see how this person's doing. But I just feel like I had such a toxic high school experience that like even just like I'm like, I know going back there would make me spiral. Even if I was so happy with where I
Me?
am now, just like I would hate going back.
me, I would hate to go back to my school reunion.
Dude, I don't think you'd
My
be invited.
siblings,
I think you'd be left out of that email blast.
I'd be
You
left
go to
out
a
of my
reunion
own
every
family
day.
group chat. Yeah.
When you go home, that's your reunion.
I know you have a reunion every morning.
I literally have a reunion every morning.
There are 2 bitches I hope show up
to your
to
reunion.
my high school. Ooh.
You're gonna go? Like,
I'm going to go.
What about you, AK? You're gonna go to your high school reunion?
No,
Yeah, I didn't think so.
no.
Isn't your guys'
Definitely not.
10-year coming up like next year?
26.
And you know what? I want to go too because we put a capsule in the floor.
Oh, that's kind of
Oh, that's kind of cute.
You know what I put in there?
What?
We'll never know
A nude.
until 26.
cute.
But whose was it?
Wait to find out. 2026.
It was taken in the locker room.
Ew.
Okay.
Oh, come on. Talk about explorers.
Wait,
Well-
AK, why don't you want to go?
Because of exactly the reasons Miguel's saying.
Like
It's like I
compare-
feel like it's like you go there to
Prove something.
analyze and judge each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would rather like go just see the friends that I were friends
Yeah,
with.
I'm like, I don't need to go back to a school reunion. I just hang out with the bitches I actually care about.
Mm.
Because I feel like if I'm going to a reunion, it's to prove something.
yeah.
And anytime I have to prove something, I feel like shit. You know, like I feel like it should just be like, if you don't know, you don't know.
I agree.
Sorry.
And any bitch that says that they do it because they want to see their friends, you're lying.
You
You're
can
trying to
hang out with
pro-
your friends
You're
any
literally
day.
trying to prove something.
Yeah.
Me and
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go to my high school reunion because I don't even think I have any friends left. I have like 2.
You can be like those weird people that roll up with a bear.
A bear.
Yeah, have
that
you seen those
happens?
reunion videos where there's like one dude that just comes up like with the craziest stuff, and
A bear.
yeah, he like comes up with a pet bear,
Oh,
You
a
should do
real
that.
bear.
like a real bear,
what the fuck?
and it's kind of like maybe it's like a distraction or a shocking
The shock value.
I come,
I got-
dude.
What do you call it? Was it streaking when you
Or
were
you come with like 5 girls from a limo.
I always wanted to go back to my high school reunion and just be like tatted the fuck up with hella piercings, just because I was such a goody two shoes in high school, and I just want those teachers to quake in their boots. Like, where did we go? wrong?
Bruh, not
She was wearing booty shorts, a wet tee.
Literally, like the sluttiest dress.
Oh wow.
I just hate those hoes, honestly.
Someone hasn't moved on.
I haven't, and that's why I don't want to go back, because I'm like,
Oh, wow.
no, literally, even when I have the chance of like driving past that school or just running into people who I don't even have a problem with, I just immediately start spiraling. I'm like,
Oh, really?
yeah, it brings me back to that like mindset
Just
when I
Miguel
was
can't
17.
relate because he peaked in high school. Like he's
yeah,
always like
that was your like.
that was your.
Do you think I peaked in high
those
school?
were your glory days?
He mad.
Please.
He mad.
I know, I'm not mad. I wish I peaked in high school.
Okay.
Why?
Because I feel like once you peak, you're more like at peace. That like, oh, at least I did
At least
peak.
you've made-
at
oh,
least
so-
at least there was a peak to hit.
So you're still waiting.
You know, it's coming.
That's kind
2020
of true. You
Yeah, I know it's true.
okay?
I think my peak is coming 2026.
There are multiple peaks. There's at least 2 peaks.
What's the first peak? and
Estoy
what's the
mi
second?
peak.
My peak? I think I peaked in high school.
No way.
You think
Yeah.
so?
I think
Why
so.
would you say that?
Why
you
not?
didn't meet me in high school.
Okay. That's why there's
I
a
don't
second
think,
peak.
I don't think that's as cute as you think it is.
What do you mean?
To peak when he met you?
Yeah, like I'm the best thing that fucking happened to his life. What do you mean?
No.
He said I would never
like,
say.
What I mean is, you shouldn't be the peak.
Why?
Maybe
Because
you should be a
that
crest.
What do
that
you
means
mean?
that there's gonna be a fall off.
That's what that's what I always say.
Why do you? What is that?
You should be the
When have
everlong
you ever
stare.
said that?
Yeah, we are the everlong
Stare up all the way
always.
into heaven.
Aw.
No,
And then we get pushed off.
Uphill
Hold
climb.
on. I always say that because Axel always says, like, when he talks about Ari, he's like, oh, she peaked. And I'm like, baby, like, you're trying to
Ariana?
compliment her, but that's not a compliment. I think, like she slayed, you know? Like, that's good. Like, she gagged. But, like, to peak is like a bad, that's like a bad thing.
I don't
Yeah.
think it's bad. I think it's ups and downs.
I
You
only
have
go
to
up.
you have to go down to peak, and you have to peak to go to another peak. Why would you want to stay at the peak? That's kind of boring.
And that's like exhausting. And also, if we're always in our peak,
Are we peaking?
are we really peaking?
I'm
Or
always
are
on the
we
up.
tweaking?
If everybody's super, no one will.
No
be.
one's super.
Okay. we need to end this episode.
All right, well, we're gonna wrap this up real soon, but
let's give a, what is it called? A synopsis and like a moving forward, like for our audience.
Well, I
members.
just wanted to ask AK, like, is this what you expected the podcast to be like?
No,
Why?
I had no expectations.
Nah.
Oh,
No,
I thought we
I'm
talked about it's
serious.
impossible.
It's
I'm-
impossible
you
to not-
guys think it's impossible, but I really think a lot of the best things come from really having like no expectations. You
Or
just
at least
gotta, you
little
just gotta like bare bones
expectations.
it. And
Yeah.
Okay, come
Just
on.
raw dog it?
But
raw
what is
dog it. That's how I
it?
travel. That's how I do my vacations. I don't have
That's how
plans.
he makes it.
watch. Come next week. She's gonna want to cut
She's
that
like,
out.
guys, cut that out, please.
Te huelas. But what I will say, were you expecting it to be the temperature that it is in this room?
It's
'Cause
very
every
warm.
single time we
It's
shoot
hot.
this, we have to close the windows.
I do
turn
start
off the
getting real
AC.
sweaty.
It's so
It is
steamy.
very hot.
But
It's getting like challenging.
it's all the love in the room.
And I think I know why.
I just said that.
You horny ass bitches. We're not, you know what? We're not bringing on any more couples. Okay, Barbie, close it out.
She's the only one that has.
You!
He was in the room. He wasn't even on it.
He said hi. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you found some insight. To leave you on a more positive note, take
The
it
Ma-
away,
The
Miguel.
the Met Gala. I've been thinking about the Met Gala all day. I think it's just important, as a takeaway to sit back and try to maybe
He's staring so intently at me. Stop. I'm
like
so
to
scared.
take your expectations and to maybe turn them into a little more smaller goals that you can reach.
Attainable.
Obtainable.
Or at least
Something, don't stress.
realistic
Realistic.
Or like AK said, it's not about expectations, it's about realistic goals.
Roll with the punches.
Roll with the punches.
Go with the flow.
Say some.
motion
Say
of the
some.
old
lady
ocean.
When
once
in
told me-
doubt,
Dogs
have a
out.
white dad phrase.
This old lady once told me, like back in fifth grade, I broke one of her pots, and I was like crying, and she was like, "Do you know what life means? It spells let it flow easy."
Oh.
And that shit like got inscribed in my heart.
Aw.
Let it flow easy.
That's
it
what
flow
I
But this was
did.
in India?
No, this
No,
was
when
in
he's
Simi
fifth grade,
Valley.
when he
Stop
came
being
here.
racist.
You said you moved here in 2008. You were in 5th grade in 2008?
Yes.
We're
Yeah,
I
you
was
were-
actually a repeat.
We were all like 9.
You're a repeat?
Mm-hmm.
You flunked?
No, I didn't flunk. They said I was too small for 6th grade here. So
You were a small boy.
What are you sitting at, like 5'6" right now?
taller than you.
We're the
You're
same
5'5".
height, bitch. We're literally the same height. I don't think he's taller.
He's like way
Stand up.
taller than you. Are you
We've
kidding
done
me?
this before. We're the same height.
he's taller.
Which
we'll do
size
it.
are we talking about?
All right, wrap it up. We'll do it after the pod.
All right.
Anyways, I'm Mandy. You can find me at Amanda Harrison.
I'm Miguel. You can find me on Instagram at MiguelXAntonio. AK, where can we find you?
You can find me at We Spa. I'll be in the steam room and you can come talk to me.
Period.
He's a mystery. And you can find me at Created by Barbie. Tune in next week where Miguel and AK compare.
That's for our Patreon page.
The Lord Far Squad pod is hosted by Amanda Harrison, Miguel Antonio, and Barbie Chavez. Listen wherever podcasts are available. Our producer is Richard Cunningham. Our theme song is produced by Lorena Latorre. Our artwork is by Joshua Estrada. Follow the Lord Far Squad podcast on Instagram at Lord Far Squad Pod. Feel free to send us your questions to the Lord Far Squad podcast at gmail.com.